should kids get these gastric bypass surgeries? Many people just eat right through this gastric band. It's not impossible. When you're talking about the doubling of childhood obesity, instead of like a kid in an entire lunchroom, or maybe two kids in an entire lunchroom who have diabetes, now you're talking about several kids per table in a lunchroom have diabetes and are taking, insulin or some kind of medication. Now it's like, it's almost kind of rare to not have diabetes as a kid. Or maybe I'm just a crazy holistic cat lady who thinks that everything can just be fixed with diet and exercise. Should kids be getting weight loss surgery? This is a real issue that we now have to entertain because of the crazy high numbers of childhood obesity, the constantly rising numbers of childhood obesity, and the accessibility to more advanced and more, cosmetic surgeries. Parents are opting to get their kids this $20,000 weight loss surgery, whether it's the lap band surgery, the gastric band surgeries. I think there's several different kinds of these weight loss surgeries where doctors will actually go in and basically, what do? They shrink your stomach, or they put a band around the stomach. They have like little rings, and the idea is you surgically change the physical capabilities of a person's stomach. So I remember when these came out, when these surgeries became popular, probably about 20 years ago or so, and people jumped on board. And I personally know several people who have gotten this surgery and have seen, life-changing, amazing results. But it doesn't come without its own share of complications. In fact, there is a lot that has been written, especially recently, about the future complications of these different, bariatric surgeries or lap band surgeries or gastric bypass surgeries. So let's actually take a look at the article, show you what I'm talking about here. So this was written up in the Associated Press. More kids should get weight loss surgery, even some preteens, pediatricians say. I don't think you need me to tell you this. If pediatricians are in favor of this surgery, I don't know if it's necessarily because they think it's good for the kids or if it's good for their bottom line. You always want to entertain that anytime a doctor has interest, especially financial interest, in cutting someone open for lifestyle, non-life-threatening diseases, such as something like obesity. Not to say that obesity isn't life-threatening, but it's definitely something that can be done, that can be rectified without surgery. Or maybe I'm just a crazy holistic cat lady who thinks that everything can just be fixed with diet and exercise. Even some severely obese preteens should be considered for weight loss surgery, according to new recommendations. The guidance issued Sunday by the American Academy of Pediatrics is based on a review of medical evidence, including several studies showing that surgery in teens can result in marked weight loss lasting at least several years with few complications. Hey, let's knock it off with the quantification of several. What is that? Give me a specific number. Several. That can be anything from like a year to like 100 years. Let's get specific, doctors. This is science, not counting on your fingers like a freaking 5-year-old. In many cases, related health problems, including diabetes and high blood pressure, vanished after surgery. While most of the studies involved teens, one included children younger than 12 and found no ill effects on growth, the policy says. Safe and effective is the message here, said Dr. Sarah Armstrong, a Duke University pediatrics professor and the policy's health lead author. Armstrong said children who have not gone through puberty may not be mature enough to understand the life-changing implications of surgery, but that age alone shouldn't rule it out. She doesn't do surgery, but works at a center that offers it. The youngest patient was 14. Yeah, look, here's a problem, and I never even thought about that until I just read that part, but the actual psychological implications of this, it's not just the fact that, okay, you're a kid and you have to go to the hospital, and they're going to do this major surgery on you, and then they're going to fix a problem that maybe even as a kid you didn't even know was a problem. I don't know if when you're 14 or younger than that you even have the perspective, or you even have the knowledge that being obese and overweight or fat is necessarily a bad thing. I don't know what the nutrition experience is, or what the health experience is of kids. I'm sure that when you're a kid, you hate being sick. I shouldn't say I think when I was a kid at one time. I know that when you're sick, it sucks. But you never tie nutrition, or you never tie things like obesity or the way you look to health. You just I think hey, I'm sick. I have these problems. I have problems breathing. It can't be because I eat Cheerios all the time, or I eat ice cream all the time, or I have a steady, regimen of cereal, ice cream, and then hot dogs at night. You don't tie maybe your obesity to that. I'm sure people are trying to tell you that, but you're so young that can you really grasp how heavy, how much your weight is tied to your health? I don't know. Not to mention that if we're going to instill in these kids' minds at that young, who might not even have the perspective that their weight is tied to their health, that, well, we can fix this problem by simply hiring somebody for $20,000 to cut you open, and then the problem is gone. I don't know if that's necessarily teaching kids the life lessons they need, that, hey, things take work, If you have other problems, you can't just... You can't just, you can hire people to fix the problems, but at some point you have to learn how to fix problems yourself. That's an interesting take on this situation. It's not a quick fix, she said. It's a lifelong decision with implications every single day for the rest of your life. Nearly 5 million U.S. children and teens are severely obese, a near doubling of over 20 years. Many have already developed related health problems, including diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and liver disease. But most kids don't get obesity surgery, mainly because most public and private health insurance doesn't cover it, or they live far from surgery centers, Armstrong said. Costs can total at least $20,000. The amount has doubled in only 20 years. We forget how not long of amount of time 20 years is. 20 years, on the overall, I guess, on the overall scale of how long people live, like a lifetime, 20 years, that is a generation. That's one generation. And we're talking about childhood obesity. We're talking about kids were not even experiencing childhood obesity until the late 80s, or even maybe the late 90s. So not only is childhood obesity a new thing for humans, but the problem is so bad that it has literally doubled in only 20 years, which means that now childhood obesity is becoming the new normal. And that's obesity. We're not taking into account the kids who are just simply overweight. I remember when I was a kid walking around, there were not that many fat kids. Fat kids stuck out. And when I'm saying fat, I'm saying what would probably be considered an overweight kid, not an obese kid. Obesity, I don't think I ever, when I was a kid, saw obesity. We again saw fat kids, but I didn't see obese kids to the point where they like kids had, canes and fucking walkers and wheelchairs because they were so morbidly obese. You never saw that. I didn't know kids with liver disease. I'm sure there were kids, I know kids had diabetes, but it wasn't a normal thing. When you're talking about the doubling of childhood obesity in only 20 years, now you're talking about, instead of a kid in an entire lunchroom, or maybe two kids in an entire lunchroom who have diabetes, now you're talking about several kids per table in a lunchroom have diabetes and are taking, insulin or some kind of medication as a kid. I remember the most medication kids took was gummy vitamins when I was a kid. If that, nobody even thought about health and nutrition. And yet somehow we were fine. Somehow we didn't have diabetes when we were kids. But yet now it's it's almost kind of rare to not have diabetes as a kid. It's fucking Amazing, dude. And what is it? Is it because the eating habits, or is it because the food companies, or is it because just the literal way that we grow food, or the overprescribing of all these? It's all of it, dude. It's all that stuff. It's not just one thing. You can't just say like, hey, it's because of GMOs. That's why. This one's going to drive people crazy, but it's because of vaccines, It's because of lazy parents. It's because of easy access to cheap food. It's because the companies make the food and they make the packaging more appealing to get. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's a multifactorial problem. I mean, basically, all we've done, and I'm not going to get on an anti-capitalism rant here, but it's because these companies, General Mills, Nestle, Kraft, they all have to hit their bottom lines. They all, Kellogg's, Post, they all have bottom lines. They all have shareholders. They have to make it so this you can't sell a box of Fruity Pebbles in like a gray box that just says Fruity Pebbles. Even the name Fruity Pebbles makes you want Fruity Pebbles. Sounds exciting. Sounds way better than Kix. What Kix is, Kix actually, by cereal standards, is not a bad cereal. But who wants to eat a cereal that was like kid tested, mother approved? Who wants that cereal? As a 30-year-old man, I definitely ate some Kix. But, when I was a kid, I was like, fuck Kix. Kix are lame. Why? Because mother approved. I don't want to eat nothing that was mother approved. I want Lucky Charms, man. I want the shit they eat in the sex dungeons. I want the shit that the rock bands are eating before they go on stage, like Lucky Charms, bro, or like Cocoa Puffs or something. Tell me fucking Slipknot's eating Kix before they go on stage? Give me a goddamn break. Resistance from pediatricians is another obstacle. Many prefer watchful waiting or think surgery is risky or will alter kids' growth. Some don't recommend surgery because they think weight is a personal responsibility rather than a medical problem. Hey, who are those doctors? You're actually doing a great job. If you're a doctor, you should be saying, look, let's break down why you have a weight problem and let's start to fix it. Let's start to, not just say, hey, kid, let's get some more diet and exercise going in your life. Let's actually do the things that we need to do to fix the problem. Let's go through your pantry and let's see what food are you even eating? What is your insulin? What's your insulin sensitivity? What is your blood glucose? What's your HbA1c? What's your lipid profile? What's your cholesterol? Let's figure this stuff out and start saying, okay, look, kids, we need to incorporate good quality fats, get these kids some more protein in their diet, just start shifting away the sugar and shifting away the processed foods, get these kids some more good. Take these kids to the farmer's market. Introduce them to the farmers, man. Introduce them to people who are growing food the right way and making it more nutrient dense and not just devoid of all of the minerals that food gets, that food comes with now that it's grown in just this toxic dump of what we call fucking, the industrial agriculture system. Dr. Rebecca Carter, an assistant professor of pediatrics at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, said the new recommendations give pediatricians better guidance about which patients should be referred and evaluated. Recent data show that pediatric obesity rates have tripled in almost 20 years, but still average fewer than 2,000 operations per year. Wow. The Academy's recommendations say children and teens are generally eligible for surgery if their body mass index is 40 or higher, or at least 35 if they have related major health problems. These criteria may vary by gender and age, Armstrong said. They're similar to criteria for surgeons from the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery. A BMI of 30 and above is considered obese. So, look, this is where we're at now. We have to leave it in the hands of doctors who have financial incentives to recommend these expensive surgeries to patients. We have to leave it in their hands to be the discerning voice of reason to say, look, you've got a BMI of 35 to 40. You are, look, like this person right here. Faith Newsom was a typical patient at 5 feet 8 inches and 273 pounds. her BMI was almost 42, and she had a high blood pressure. She had high blood pressure and diabetes, pre-diabetes, when she had gastric bypass. I mean, all of that stuff with the right nutrition and lifestyle and fitness plans can be taken care of. We can save the healthcare system so much money by not putting somebody like this person in through one of these surgeries, because here's the bigger idea with this stuff, okay? Just this last year, there were some surveys done and some studies done in different medical journals that discussed what the societal cost of not just the gastric bypass surgeries, but these different gastrointestinal surgeries, what their overall cost is to the public through things like emergency healthcare, due to complications, due to different services that come upon the bill of taxpayers. So let me show you what those are right now. So the first one was done in looks like in Open Journal here, done by the Welsh Institute of Metabolic Disease and Obesity. What they found was that the cost burden to the National Health Services of managing the complications of bariatric surgery performed in the private sector is considerable. Although it is imperative that such complications be managed in well-equipped specialist units, private surgery providers should have better follow-up. So basically what they're finding here is that the overall cost, and you can include things like more surgery to get complications fixed, fixing complicated surgeries, and then just the overall managing of people once they, for lack of a better term, bust through their gastric bypass lap band, whatever that little thing is with the ring they put on the gas. Like, people eat through that thing and then become obese all over again. According to this study, the costs of managing that are quote-unquote considerable. And then you have another one here which discusses the explanation of adjustable gastric bands and observation study of 10 years of experience at a tertiary center. The conclusion basically is during the 10 years of experience, 37% of adjustable gastric bands had to be removed, which is terrible, which means that a $20,000 surgery was not only done incorrectly, it was done so incorrectly that almost, more than a third of the gastric bands had to be removed in this subset. So, when we're talking about should kids get these gastric bypass surgeries, should they get the lap bands, should they get the weight loss surgery, should they just get cut open to fix their, a magical surgery to fix their obesity problem? Should that happen? Well, it's not a matter of should it happen. It's a matter of, do we have the sense and the context to know that when it does happen, a third of the time it's done incorrectly, and then the managing costs, even considering the people who do have it correctly, the cost of managing the complications that come from these surgeries, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years down the road, because if you're a 14-year-old kid getting the surgery, you're going to be 40s, you're going to be in your 50s. If you have not learned good nutritional, dietary, lifestyle habits, this is always going to be a problem for you. Many people just eat right through this gastric band. It's not impossible. So I'd love to know what you think about this whole situation. Should kids be getting these weight loss surgeries? Should adults be getting these weight loss surgeries? Is this too easy of a fix? Does this underlie an even bigger societal problem? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, please remember to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and keep watching for more videos from the Holistic A-Hole. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.